No, in terms of what is contained inside the vial of each, they are identical. Pfizer and BioNTech simply formally branded or named their vaccine Comirnaty. BioNTech is the German...
So you acknowledge that there, at least. It's that they're different, but they're saying they're the same thing.
No, it's that if they are different in the approval letter, then it doesn't matter. If there's a different name on the approval letter, what matters is what that name is. And if the name is Comirnaty, which we know is equal to Pfizer, then Pfizer vaccine is FDA approved.
We don't know that. We don't
the
know
licensed vaccine.
You're asking me to just assume that something's
I'm
equal.
not asking you to assume. I'm asking you to
approved.
Please just use your brain and trust what this is saying. This is from the FDA. The licensed vaccine has the same formulation as the EUA authorized vaccine, and the products can be used interchangeably to provide the vaccination series without presenting any safety or effectiveness concerns. The products are legally distinct with certain differences that do not impact safety or effectiveness.
There it is. Legally distinct. That's the only argument I'm making.
Oh my God. If they're legally distinct, but there's no difference in the actual effectiveness or safety, then why does it matter that they're legally distinct?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully have a good conversation.
Hopefully, yeah. So, long story short, I forget why I initially started following you. I remember you tweeting me something about how you don't really like me and you don't really agree with me, but you have respect for me for something. I don't remember what it was, but I know that I clicked the follow button on your page after that. And then I gotta be honest, dude, every time I see like some tweet that I'm like, holy shit, this is bullshit, I look and it's either been liked by you, retweeted by you, or tweeted by you.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I think it was, I kind of watched the streaming community. I used to do a lot of, back in the early 2000s, kind of when stuff was getting started, I used to do, some like blog talk radio, stuff like that, YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel, Newt, way back in the day. So, yeah, I think I like your streams amongst your whole community there. I feel like you're kind of in good faith. So, I don't really understand your conversion from... right to left, but here we are. So yeah, it's good to talk. You think the stuff we're doing is pretty crazy, huh? That I'm tweeting.
I mean, I just remember seeing something about you tweeting something in regards to chemtrails, which I feel like that's a conspiracy that's been around for so long and it's been discredited so many times. But I'm not interested in getting into that. That was just one of the things I remember recently when I said bruh.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of research on it. Geoengineering is actually the correct term, stratospheric geoengineering. That's admitted. I mean, that's UN documents. Chemtrails is kind of the word people like to make fun of it. I mean, it's used commonly. I've used the word, but
right.
Yeah, more the stratospheric geoengineering, the patents, But anyway, we don't want to get into that. I want to debate that today.
I'm not interested in debating that either. Airplanes good, airplanes bad. We'll save that for another time. We wanted to talk a little bit about the vaccine stuff because I definitely have seen you share a lot of anti-vax stuff. And then maybe we want to talk for a little bit about LGBT in children's media or stuff like that.
Sure, yeah, we can get into that. Yeah, the vaccines. I was kind of listening back to some of your a couple of your debates. I see you're kind of pro mandate, and one thing that kind of I was sort of shocked was how you dismissed the myocarditis risk. That was pretty disturbing from my end. But yeah, I mean, so you're pro mandate, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering which one is. Hold on, I'm sorry. I've got to address something in chat. Keffels is going to sue you into the Stone Age for doxing and swatting her. I did none of that, so you're permanently blocked. Goodbye. Thanks for being a liar. Okay. Yeah, the myocarditis thing, I don't remember which debate you're talking about where I dismissed that. But yeah, I do tend to be pretty dismissive of the whole myocarditis thing, mainly because most of the cases of myocarditis that have come from the vaccine are either completely non-severe or they're not as severe as the type of myocarditis you could develop from getting COVID.
Well, the myocarditis, inflammation of the heart is not something that I don't think we should take lightly. The increase is up to 133-fold following vaccination. And the American Medical Association journal, a study that came out, they did find that risk goes up to 133 times, especially after the second vaccination dose in males. So I mean, it just doesn't seem. I don't know. I don't really understand that. Like that this whole, dismissing the risks with the vaccine. I just
I mean,
don't
don't
understand.
you feel like you dismiss the risks of COVID by kind of actively pushing against mandates and vaccines in general?
No, because COVID's not that dangerous.
Well, the vaccine isn't
We
that
have the
dangerous.
numbers on. We're learning that's not the case now. I mean, you are familiar with how many injuries and deaths that we're having already around the world, and not to mention the vaccine is virtually useless.
Hold on. Wait, I'm sorry. First of all,
Sure.
It's not useless. We'll get into that in the second part. What deaths have been happening across the world that have been attributed to the vaccine?
So you familiar with the VAERS, our only reporting system for vaccine? That is the only reporting system the United States has, correct?
I am aware of VAERS. Are you also aware that at least last year they did a study of the VAERS reports and found that the majority of them were non-severe? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? No, this was July 2022. My bad.
Well,
Hold on.
the
No,
VAERS data.
No. I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, I clicked the wrong one. My apologies. This came out in March of 2022. Safety of mRNA vaccines administered during the initial 6 months of the U.S. COVID-19 vaccination program, an observational study of reports to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Safety data for more than 298 million doses of mRNA COVID-19 vaccine administered in the first 6 months of the U.S. vaccination program showed that the most reported adverse events were mild and short in duration. Where are the deaths happening across the world that have been attributed to the vaccine?
The VAERS data shows 28,000 reports of death. I mean, that's gone up by 1,887. I mean, there was 6,859 additional total adverse in the last few weeks. I mean, it's been. I mean, across Europe we have. I mean, a lot of it's anecdotal, of course, but I mean, when you have doctors whistleblowing now. We have people dying left and right, especially up in Ontario in hospitals. Now, these are particularly from the third and fourth boosters. I'm not just saying that the first dose is doing this.
When you're saying people, I want to talk about the effectiveness of the vaccine, because when you get a third or fourth booster, it is effective against Omicron. But we can get into that in a second. Because I don't know where people are dying from the vaccine. If you're just talking about like weird things that have happened to people or strange injuries and then just kind of like assuming that maybe it's from the vaccine, that's one thing. But I don't know where this huge uptick of deaths has been counted that is attributable to the vaccine. Meanwhile, we can look at large chunks of deaths that are attributable to COVID-19. I mean, even the life expectancy here in the US decreased because of COVID deaths.
Sure. Well, we could get into what is a COVID death and what isn't. I mean, you've debated this before with folks about the overcounting people with COVID, people that just particularly died specifically from COVID, which is very, very few.
Well, that's because the way in which COVID kills you is it usually attacks other parts of your body, usually the lungs, for example. So it might not be COVID-19 that was the direct cause of death. It might be something like pneumonia or lung failure. But the question we need to be asking is, would this person be alive had it not been for COVID? And in those cases, if the answer is yes, then COVID will be counted as a contributing factor to the death.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the thing is, too, though, when we have these were mainstream news reports of people that had loved ones die from completely unrelated that were getting tagged as COVID by the hospital. I saw that firsthand. I mean, I don't want to get too much into anecdotal, but lots of mainstream news.
I don't like. I mean,
but would you deny that those reports have happened? I mean, we know that's been mainstream news.
I've heard of some reports here and there, but I wouldn't be satisfied unless I was able to actually look at it myself and find out, because more often than not, people are just incorrect, or people are lying, or they themselves are deceived. I would want to be able to actually look at that before I was comfortable just agreeing to that. But I'm aware that there have been people who have claimed that they had a family member die from something unrelated to COVID, and then it was marked as COVID. I know that there exist claims like that, but I don't know if that's actually the case.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think I was going to win you over on that, but but I mean, yeah, I think they've been vastly overcounted. I mean, I was kind of curious to ask you why you thought. What's your opinion on COVID not spreading in certain countries or even continents like Africa? Now, early on, when we were pointing this out, that, Cambodia and Vietnam didn't have any deaths, and Africa didn't hardly have any deaths, Nigeria, et cetera, with, sometimes quadruple the population of, say, New York. The pushback I got was, they're all lying. All these countries are lying. They're stacking bodies everywhere. We don't know what Cambodia, and it turns out 2 years later that's incorrect.
Yeah, there were definitely lesser. There were lesser deaths significantly, in I think it was South Africa. But hold on, we're kind of going all over the place because you're concerned about there being an inflation of COVID deaths, but yet you also want to look at VAERS, which anybody can submit a report there. So isn't it possible that via the methods used to submit things on VAERS, it's more likely that adverse effects related to the vaccine could be inflated?
Certainly possible, but you know how hard it is to submit a report to VAERS? I mean, it's very difficult. It's a long process. I mean, everybody has this spin that it's super easy and, anybody can throw anything up on VAERS. It's just not the case if you talk to the doctors.
Well, no, it's not anyone, but I've gone on it myself. And you can. I mean, it's not that hard to fill out a form. And this is also why I say that I think people who fill things out on VAERS a lot of the time, I don't think they're like malicious liars. I don't think they're like, haha, let me go and say that the vaccine gave me herpes, mwahaha. But I do think that there are people who have weird side effects and then they submit that to VAERS because they think that they're doing the right thing. That's why you can read some of them that say like, felt funny after taking the vaccine. Like, this is not a good method or a good data pool even. So it's just kind of strange if you're worried about there being an inflation of COVID deaths, but not an inflation of COVID negative or COVID vaccine side effects.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that there's not incorrect. I mean, I'll certainly concede that there are people that probably did get people are hypochondriacs. People do get sick from different things. So that's certainly the case. I'm more focused on the verified vaccine injuries that we're seeing there. We do have those.
I mean, where is that happening?
You haven't seen the conferences of people all sitting there in wheelchairs from vaccine injured? I mean,
no, I have not. Do you want to send it to me? I would be more than happy to check it out.
Absolutely. You haven't seen the hearings on this with Dr. Malone and Dr. McCullough?
Nope.
So are you denying these vaccine injuries exist?
No, not at all. I think that it's very, very possible that people got the vaccine and then suffered some kind of an injury.
Possible?
What I don't know...
They're documented.
Is it... Okay, well, what I don't know is whether or not it's attributable to the vaccine.
Okay, so what system do we have? So at the beginning of COVID... Wait,
can I just see that source, though? Like, where can I find that thing?
Yeah, let me... I'll have to find that for you. Yeah, I'll get that to you. And I won't renege on that. I'll get it over to you. There's been... I mean, corporate media ignores it. Obviously, they can't cover it, but... Yeah, I'll get that over to you.
All right, let me look it up real quick now.
But at the beginning of COVID, it was right out of the gates, it was guys, you don't look at VAERS, don't look at VAERS, guys. It's not a trustworthy. I mean, we were hearing that in March. Even when COVID, before the vaccine was even out, we started hearing that. And what system do we have to report vaccine? I mean, what system did Pfizer and the FDA set up if VAERS is so unreliable? I'm confused how the United States was going to keep track of this with a brand new vaccine.
Was it a Zoom conference? Or was it like a real life thing? Because I searched vaccine injury conference, and so far I've seen something revolving a senator saying something that sounded like the vaccine gives you AIDS.
I mean, yeah, I'll take a look at that. Let's see.
This looks like it's what it is right here. Senator Johnson hosts panel highlighting people claiming to be harmed by COVID-19 vaccines.
That's one of them. That's one of the ones I was referring to. There's a Senator Ron Johnson that did have one. It looks like that's not the one I was actually referring to. I should have had that source ready though before sourcing it. But I'll definitely see if I can pull that up. Let me see, because I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it up in Google. Let's see. So if you want to move on,
I'm just very curious to see if there's anything about this. The CDC maintains vaccines are safe and effective, of course. I'm not really seeing much about it. It's just the main problem that I have with this is, from what I am seeing, it seems as though these are people who got the vaccine and then suffered some kind of a life-altering side effect. But how do we know it was from the vaccine?
Well, generally when it happens within an hour of getting the vaccine or while getting it, it's pretty obvious. I mean, these
I'm
aren't
really wondering if any of these happened like an hour after getting it.
So you really are denying that vaccine injuries have happened right after the injection?
No, I'm not denying it. I mean, when you have like hundreds of millions of people getting a vaccine, I'm sure there are going to be some people who suffer some form of negative side effects or something. I'm wondering about this direct conference, though, if whether or not those people had these issues because of the vaccine. And the problem is it doesn't sound like there's anything to really link that. I'm scrolling through again. I guess this is Washington Post. I don't know if you think they're too biased. But I mean, okay, you've got more than 100 doctors here, all of whom will tell you that these shots cause vaccine-induced AIDS. They purposely gave people AIDS. Someone claimed that on any basis. He made reference to some other conspiracy theories that are hard to parse without being immersed in the surreal, blah, blah, blah. All right, hold on. I'm just curious about this.
Well, I'm trying to find it. I wasn't referencing in bad faith. I don't think you are.
I'm not trying to look through this in bad faith. I'm just trying to see if there's. It just sounds like what they were mainly doing at that conference, at least, was trying to bring attention to possible vaccine injuries. But yeah, I mean, some people get injured from vaccines. Yeah, sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we can leave that then.
But the likelihood of that happening, as opposed to having a good outcome from the vaccine, is astronomical.
I would disagree with that, because I mean the vaccines have now been proven to not be that effective. We keep seeing lower and lower numbers on efficacy, starting out with the promise that they would stop transmission, which is really one of my biggest issues with folks like you. The unwillingness, to admit that we had, our health officials, our politicians all directly lie to us about the efficacy and about stopping transmission.
So this comes from CDC. I know that you probably don't like that, but it says when Omicron was the predominant variant, vaccine effectiveness was 61% for 2 doses against COVID-19 associated hospitalizations. Vaccine effectiveness increased to between 85 to 92% after recipient of a 3rd booster dose. So how is that not effective?
Those aren't the most recent numbers. I'll have to.
This just came out July 15th. So it's less than a month old. When BA.2/BA.2 became predominant, vaccine effectiveness with 2 doses was 24%. Associated hospitalizations and increased to 52 to 69% after a 3rd booster dose.
Okay, let me ask you this. My counter to that. So, do you know how many COVID cases New Zealand's had in the last 4 weeks?
No.
Well, 56% of the COVID cases has been in the last 4 weeks in New Zealand. The lockdowns didn't work. Locking it down tight as a drum did not work. They've had an explosion in New Zealand and Australia of COVID cases. The worst numbers they've had since the beginning of the pandemic. Both of these countries are almost entirely fully vaccinated and boosted. Seeing the same thing in Canada.
Yeah, but this.
So sure, the CDC is reporting these numbers, but I mean, the results of this in these countries.
You said it was
we also
New
have
Zealand?
other that conflict that. Yeah, New Zealand.
Okay.
56.
Well, first of all, it's becomes equal leading cause of death in New Zealand. Okay. So I mean, if anything, that kind of supports why it's important to get a vaccine, I would say.
So why are they having their worst numbers after they're almost fully vaccinated? It doesn't really make any sense.
Well, it would depend on when they were all fully vaccinated, and it would depend on what variant this is. I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not necessarily saying this applies to you, but it seems like a lot of people don't understand how these vaccines work and how the actual variants of COVID work. So originally, when scientists were saying, "Oh, it's going to be 95% effective," blah 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 blah, they were correct. Because in regards to the alpha variant of COVID, it was around 95% effective. However, when there are new variants that come out, then it's obviously going to follow that those new variants are going to have easier time navigating past the immune response built from a previous vaccine because it's a different variant. I mean, this is how viruses in and of themselves even work. They usually start out like the alpha variant and kill off the old, and then they become slightly less deadly, but they become more contagious. And this is exactly what we've been seeing since Delta. So
Sure. So that's a great argument against that we were making originally against the mandate, right? Because the original mandate argument was, oh, we've got to stop transmission. We've got to go back to normal. These things prevent transmission. And then once we had new variants, they were still pushing that anyway.
yeah, because well, that's a separate issue right now. Because you said that
And
the
then we couldn't
vaccines
speak
were
out.
ineffective.
And why wouldn't you guys say that these weren't going to be effective when we were saying it at the beginning?
Wait,
I mean, this whole science change thing.
it's debatable as to whether or not lockdowns helped. So I don't know what you mean by that when you say why
they're far more harmful. We know that now.
You know what? I might even be willing to. You know
destruction.
what? I might even be willing to grant you that because there are certainly issues that have arisen from lockdowns. But again, the problem is that people have this idea that it's like either A, everybody goes on and lives their lives happily ever after, or B, the mean, scary government puts down the mandates. Like, we're in it. We have two fucking sucky options. Either lock down everybody to try and cut back the spread, or don't lock down, which is going to inevitably lead to more spread and more sickness. So what do we do? They're both shitty, like, alternatives. It's not like we have this one perfect option that's being trampled out by the government.
We disagree. We had places that didn't do any lockdowns, and they didn't have it any worse, and we know that now. And all we were told over and over, just wait.
Wait, are you talking? Please don't tell
Hunter,
me you're talking about Sweden.
Do you not remember? Wait 2 weeks, all the spring breakers they're all gonna be dead in Florida. They're all gonna have it, guys. We had the Grim Reaper out on the beach, and then if you spoke out against it, you're a conspiracy theorist if you don't think everybody's gonna die from COVID.
I don't remember who said that everybody was going to die. If that was some inflammatory statement made by some dipshit, then they were dumb. But like, this doesn't speak for everybody, and I also don't speak for all the people that are pro-vax. Like, there are people who say dumb shit. If there are people saying, like, there was somebody who said that like kids were dying at like exponential rates or something from COVID, and you know what? Upon looking it up, there were fact check articles from PolitiFact and Snopes explaining why that was incorrect. Not everything that comes out here that is pro-vaccine is should be taken as truth or something. But I've never said otherwise.
Sure, yeah, I'm not saying that you've said that. It was pretty much. I mean, you would agree it was a given narrative that was the narrative that we have to lock. And again, we didn't. We have places that lock down more than others. There's no correlation.
Wait. We're moving all over the place because we're not even at lockdowns yet. We're at the New Zealand thing. So you realize by referencing the New Zealand thing, you're demonstrating my point. Because now COVID has become the leading cause of death in this country. And now we have numbers that show getting a booster, an additional dose, can help bring up your immune response and can make it so that it's more closer to the, 50 to 90% effectiveness. So all that you're demonstrating by referencing New Zealand is that COVID is extremely fucking deadly and getting the vaccine is probably the best option. What else are you going to do? Just die?
It's again the death rates, dude. The death rates is 0.28% from the CDC on COVID. You pretty much have to have a comorbidity to die.
Wait,
again,
it says
you're sitting here trying to sell me on the vaccines. I just gave you the New Zealand data. They're worse now than they were
it's
at
becoming
any
an
given
equal
time
leading
in the
cause
last
of
2
death.
weeks.
COVID is now the biggest killer in New Zealand for the
and the
first
most
time.
vaccinated country on the planet.
It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter.
We saw the
Yeah,
same
if
thing
you-
in Israel.
You can look at the stats. Majority of the population only have 2 doses. We know that we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine are not very effective against Omicron because it's a new variant. This to me is just like, this is how it works. Yeah. A new
then the
variant
EUA
comes out, a
should
new
have been
strain
pulled.
comes out, and then you get a new vaccine. Yes.
Well, then the EUA should have been pulled because that's not what it's for. It's supposed
It's not
to.
even
It's supposed
EUA
to.
anymore. It's been approved by
don't get me started.
it's been approved by the
Comirnaty's been
FDA for
approved.
months.
The FDA approved Comirnaty. That's one specific type not available in the U.S. And we know that.
The FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine.
No, they approved Comirnaty, the Comirnaty Pfizer vaccine. That's in the legal filing. You know that, right?
No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about right
You
now.
know they're still labeled as EUA. Go get a vaccine today. It's an EUA vaccine unless it's Comirnaty.
Let's see. The vaccine
Now,
has been known as the
you'll get some
Pfizer
fact
BioNTech
checks.
COVID-19 vaccine and will now be marketed as...
Yeah,
What
you'll
was
get
it
some
saying?
USA Today fact checks. Comirnaty.
Okay, for the prevention of COVID-19 disease. The vaccine also continues to be available under emergency use, including for individuals 12 through 15. Wait, this is the Pfizer vaccine that was approved.
Comirnaty.
It's been given a different name, but it was the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine.
They claim it's the same thing, but why isn't it approved then? Why is Comirnaty only approved and it's not available in the U.S.? If you go to CVS today, Hunter, you will not be able to get a Comirnaty
because you would get
FDA-approved
Pfizer.
vaccine.
You would get Pfizer. They're the same.
But it won't. No, they're not. Comirnaty has a specific name. It's available. It's labeled as Comirnaty.
I
can
know,
get it in
which
Europe
is
and some
also the
places.
Pfizer. If you search Comirnaty BioNTech Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, you're just not. You're not getting it, man.
No. You're not getting it. You're making things up, and this is why I have these problems with the
No, I'm
conspiracies.
not making things up. Comirnaty is the one that's approved, and that's not
What
available.
do you not understand
at my local
Wait, what
They
do you...
say it's the same ingredients. Well, then why does it have a different name, and why isn't it available where I can go get it where it says FDA approved? Why is the one I still go get?
Things where you get
is
vaccines at
EUA?
CVS, because CVS doesn't have a big thing that says FDA approved on it, to my understanding. Second of all, you can get a Pfizer vaccine, which is the same. A new name, who gives a shit? It's the same vaccine. It's the same chemical makeup.
Then why does it have a different name, and why is it not available?
I'm pretty sure you can look it up. Why
would the legal filing be Comirnaty? Why wouldn't they all just not be approved? Why would not the same? It's the same ingredients, but it's not approved because Comirnaty because it's a
one of the
legal
most
trick.
noticeable changes can also be one of the least understood.
But I'm not going to die on this hill. I knew I wouldn't. I knew I wouldn't get you. I knew you would disagree. And again, you're going to find USA Today fact checks, but the legal filing is for Comirnaty. You have to. You have to go look at it.
So can I just read this really quickly to you? Before a vaccine or any product gets FDA approval, it is known by the company that created it. Once an FDA approval is granted, the company selects a brand name for use in the U.S. Until that time, the company is not allowed to advertise or use a brand name, even with the EUA.
Exactly. It's got a brand name called Comirnaty, and that's a specific type that's not available.
No.
Here.
Please stop saying this. We're not going to move off this point. It is the same vaccine. It's just a different name. They have the brand name Comirnaty, which they chose after FDA approval. That is when they are then allowed to make that choice.
Then why isn't it available?
Oh my God!
Why create a name for a vaccine?
You can literally get the Pfizer vaccine
in Europe. Not at my local CVS.
First of all, it says it was announced this way for the U.S. Whether it's in Europe or not, who cares? You have the Pfizer vaccine. Everybody is reporting that it's just a new name, dude.
Why do you think they used a new name that's
pharmaceutical company? Because I'm literally reading this from a different one now. Pharmaceutical companies often rebrand products after receiving FDA approval, and this isn't even Comirnaty's first time being renamed. During the development and testing phase, the same vaccine was codenamed BNT162B2. Internationally, the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is known as Tuzinamerin. So it's already had varying different names.
It's still listed. If you go get the vaccine, it's an EUA authorized vaccine. It's not listed as FDA approved because it's not Comirnaty.
Oh my God!
I challenge you to go to CVS.
What did you say that is not listed as the FDA approved one?
No, if you go get a vaccine at CVS, even if it's the Pfizer, it will be listed as an EUA authorized vaccine. It's not Comirnaty, because Comirnaty is the one that's FDA approved. These legal names mean something. These legal filings mean something.
Yeah, because they have
to. It doesn't matter that USA Today says that it doesn't matter.
It's not USA Today. This is a .gov website, and the one I read before was from a non-government website. So I don't know what you're talking about. Names happen. They get renamed. This is the equivalent of how you can get the store brand of Tylenol, or you can get the brand name Tylenol. It's still the same active ingredient.
Sure, yeah, that's true. Absolutely. But it's still two different. I mean, they can say it's the same ingredients, but there's still a separation for a reason.
So you're saying that wait, hold on. You're saying that although it's claimed to be the same vaccine, just with a different name, you're saying you just don't believe that?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Comirnaty is the only one that's been FDA approved, and that's not available in the U.S. Or it may be now. It hasn't been in the last 6 months. I haven't, checked in the last month or so. But
FDA announced the first approval of a COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay, Hunter, why hasn't the EUA been deauthorized?
And the approval vaccine is marketed as what did you say it's called?
Comirnaty.
For the prevention of COVID-19 in individuals 12 years
old. So why hasn't
the
EUA been withdrawn? Why are they still under EUA? I can tell you why, because it's not Comirnaty. Again,
wait. Hold on. I'm quiet for a moment because I'm reading something. You are wrong. I'm going to now look up. Is Pfizer still emergency use? Let's see. It is FDA authorized under emergency use for active immunization to prevent coronavirus disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome in individuals 6 months of age and older. So this is for the younger dose that's under EUA. This isn't for the other one. The one for 12 and up is not under EUA, I don't believe.
It has to be unless it's Comirnaty. And if you go, again...
Well, this one says Comirnaty is FDA authorized under emergency use authorization. So wouldn't that mean that they're both the same?
I don't know why Comirnaty would be under EUA if it's FDA approved. I mean, that kind of further complicates things there.
Well, I can look this up.
Again, we still have the EUA.
Okay, I'll look it up for you. If Pfizer is approved, why is it still EUA? Right.
I'm checking here too, so let's see.
Pfizer and biotech announced U.S. FDA approval of their COVID-19 vaccine, Comirnaty, for adolescents 12 years through 15 years of age.
It's a legally distinct naming. I mean, it's a legal,
Even if it is, it is the exact same chemical makeup.
Hunter,
I don't know why you're so set on this. It's the same fucking vaccine. No, even Pfizer's own website is using the same name interchangeably. FDA is using the name interchangeably. These are not two separate... Wait, why wouldn't they just lie then? Why would they actually authorize a different vaccine and then tell everybody it's the same vaccine? Like, what this doesn't even make sense if there was trying to be a conspiracy.
Because clearly that's what they've done, and that's, I mean, who's going to push back? People like me? I mean, I can read the legal filing. I can again, these if I go down to CVS and get a it's still listed under EUA. It's not a FDA approved unless it's Comirnaty.
Okay, so what you're telling me then is that you just don't believe them when they say it's the same thing.
It could be the same thing. I don't know that, but I don't trust a company like Pfizer that's paid, the largest criminal fines in U.S. history.
I don't know why any of that, over and over. That doesn't matter. The largest criminal fines.
Does it matter?
No,
their reputation and history doesn't matter.
No,
when they're creating experimental drugs for people.
It's not experimental.
Really?
And no, it doesn't matter. No, because we have
how many vaccines have the mRNA been used in?
Hold on. We have data internationally that shows that these vaccines are effective. And even if you want to get into the weeds about what is more effective and what's not, we know for a fact that it lowers the likelihood of you going to the hospital and dying and so forth. So even if you don't think that they're as effective as they could be, we know that the vaccines are safe according to international evidence. So yeah, Pfizer could be completely bankrupt and get sued out the fucking ass, and I don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's the data that we defer to determine if the vaccine is safe, not the actual company.
So you would defer to the data they've been hiding, the trial data?
What trial data?
The court-ordered trial data they had to release.
You mean the one that showed, the one where they said they were going to have to take several years, or like 50 years that everybody was making fun of?
What do you? I don't understand what you mean.
Are you talking about the? Okay, hold on. You know what? Wait. What the FDA's approval of the Pfizer vaccine means? Okay. Let's see.
The Pfizer documents.
They were
the Pfizer documents that they were court-ordered release. They show 800 COVID trial participants never finished because of withdrawn consent, injury, or death.
Withdrawn consent? Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course, this happens.
Why did they want to hide that for 75 years?
They didn't want to.
And we didn't have that. We could have used that information when.
Holy shit! You're saying so many things that are all wrong, and then by the time I actually get around to showing why one thing that you said that was wrong, then all of a sudden you're on to the next thing. So I am trying to find information as to why it might still be labeled EUA, and I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not seeing any explanation for that. So either you're wrong, or maybe it just hasn't been updated. But either way, what really matters is that Pfizer has been FDA approved, and so therefore, if we're going to take other medication that has been vetted by the FDA, we can probably also take the vaccine since it's been vetted by the FDA. So are we willing then to acknowledge that the Comirnaty and Pfizer are the same thing?
I'm willing to acknowledge that Pfizer and the FDA are saying that they're the same thing, but I don't trust them enough based on their track record to admit that.
So you just don't believe them?
I understand how legal filings work. I understand how they've done things in the past with opiates. So I completely understand why they would want to have something labeled Comirnaty that's actually FDA approved. So then, they're protected via the EUA. And of course, we know they're protected. I mean, they already have a liability shield anyway in every country that they go in.
Yeah, I know.
They will not put their vaccines in a country that will not give them a full liability shield. We know that.
Yeah, of course.
From leaked documents.
There's so many. Oh my God. Okay. So first of all, it's fine if you don't want to believe this, but again, your only argument is I don't believe them. Every single,
no, it's not.
Yes, it is. Every single goddamn source is saying the exact same thing.
You're saying that these were approved.
Pfizer is the same as Comirnaty. If they wanted to lie about an FDA approved, why wouldn't they just lie and say Pfizer was FDA approved?
They are lying. They're telling you that a vaccine that's not approved is approved.
Okay.
I don't understand why you don't understand what I'm saying. I don't get it. I don't understand why you
because you're not making sense. You think that everybody's just lying. You think that everybody's just in on this big conspiracy or something.
I mean, you said it yourself. If you have Tylenol labeled Tylenol and that's FDA approved, and then you have a generic version that's EUA, those are two different medications.
No.
You can say they have the same ingredients, but they're not.
They each individually have to be reviewed by the FDA. There would be paperwork showing the differences between the renewals of, or the reviews of Pfizer and Comirnaty. But that's not what you see.
Yeah, because they say it's the same thing. So why should we have to do that? Oh, it's the same thing. Trust us, but it's still not FDA approved.
Do you really not understand? Well, yes, it is. But do you really not understand that like pharmaceuticals will change their names upon getting FDA approved?
Sure.
Like this is something that's happened multiple different times.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a legal trick. It protects them from liability. The EUA is very important for liability.
They're already protected from liability.
Well, yeah, they do have a lot of protections already, but
so
going
this doesn't
down the
need
line,
to further protect them from anything.
Again, this is the case in Europe. There's different laws in different countries.
So you just think they're lying when they say that it's not, when they say it's the same
Look,
thing.
I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm just simply
exactly
saying
what you're saying.
They did that for a reason. No, I'm saying I don't trust them. It could be the same. It could be exactly the same, and it may be. I'll concede that. It may be the same. I'm just simply pointing out they did that legally for a reason, and it is legally true that these are still under EUA in the United States.
Okay.
I mean, I know you found that about the children, about the ages.
Even if they're under the EUA, then it would just be an FDA-approved vaccine that's also under emergency use. Then maybe they just haven't changed it yet. I don't know.
I'm willing to concede that. I'm willing to concede that. That could be possible.
Okay, but so don't you think it could be possible that there's just a new name picked for a vaccine that's now FDA-approved, considering this is how it's always been throughout history?
No, not in this case, no. And that's not how it's always been. I mean, yeah, that again, they do this for a reason. You go into a court, if you were to go into a court and say, yeah, I took this vaccine, it's FDA approved, they would say, oh, actually, it looks like Comirnaty's approved.
No, they wouldn't. They would not say that. They would not say that at all. Because
then why,
they're the same
then why put it under Comirnaty and not make it available? I mean, I'm asking, question
I
back
don't know.
to you.
I'm just assuming it's not available based on what your own personal anecdotes.
Well,
for everybody else, we know that it's Comirnaty and or Pfizer vaccine, Pfizer Biotech.
Only one's FDA approved.
No, you need to stop saying this or we're just not going to be able to move on. One is not FDA approved. Comirnaty is FDA approved, which is Pfizer, so therefore Pfizer is FDA approved.
I can't go to CVS and get a Comirnaty Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, but you can get Pfizer, EUA. So it's the same thing.
No, it's EUA. So it's not the same thing.
No, it is. It's the exact same thing.
It's saying it's the same thing. It's not.
Stop. You need to stop basing things off your personal experience. Maybe your own CVS just hasn't updated the name yet.
So hold on a minute. So you're contesting that Comirnaty is available in the U.S.?
I'm contesting that Pfizer is available in the U.S. and Pfizer and Comirnaty are the same thing. So therefore, they're FDA approved.
That's not what I ask you. Is Comirnaty available in the U.S.
I don't know. I know Pfizer is, which they're the same thing. So yeah.
I can tell you it's not. Comirnaty's not available in the U.S. I mean, that's a fact. I don't know how we get around that, but
let's see.
I mean, I really didn't want to.
Comirnaty and Pfizer Biotech COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine has been known as the Pfizer Biotech COVID-19 vaccine, and the approved vaccine is marketed as Comirnaty for the prevention of COVID-19. Okay, let's see.
Comirnaty is, and this is off Pfizer's website, Comirnaty is the first and only COVID-19 vaccine to be granted FDA approval.
Cool.
For 12 and older.
That's great. We're America, dude. We're number one. We get technology out faster. We get medication out quicker. That's because America's the best.
Nah, I wouldn't say that, but.
Wait, I don't remember what you even said. Oh yeah, that it's not available. Pfizer's FDA-approved vaccine is available in U.S. The claim, Pfizer's FDA-approved coronavirus vaccine is not yet available in the United States. That's false. The FDA authorized Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine for emergency use in December. 8 months later, the agency fully approved the shot for most Americans. The authorization changed, but the vaccine didn't. I keep forgetting how to say the word. Comirnaty is simply the brand name for Pfizer's shot.
Then why is Comirnaty available in specific parts of Europe and not the United States? It's not, I mean, again, it's still...
Ah, okay, this is why. Because hundreds of millions of Pfizer's dose were manufactured before the FDA's full approval. Some vials administered now may not have the Comirnaty label, but that doesn't change what's in the shot. There's been no change in the formulation of the vaccine since the name change. So, why don't you just say you don't believe them? Because that's all you have left.
No, it's not. Again, Comirnaty is FDA approved. The other ones are not.
Okay, I guess we're just going to keep on talking in circles because it's like I'm talking to you and it's like one thing is going in one way and it's coming out of the other.
I mean, of course I don't believe them.
But about much of it. I don't trust
Pfizer.
That's all.
No, it's not. I gave you the legal. You've been scrambling to find this, and you can't tell me that Comirnaty is available in the U.S. You can only tell me that it's the same thing.
Because it is
the same thing.
Oh god, I'm sorry. Holy shit, I'm gonna have to cut that part out. Jesus. Because it is. They're the same thing. I can't just. Yeah, because here's the thing: is I have both private and government institutions, which are all saying Comirnaty and the Pfizer vaccine are the same, nothing has changed with the formula, and giving very reasonable explanations as to why the name is different and as to why sometimes it might still say Pfizer rather than Comirnaty. And what you're saying is you're uncomfortable, so therefore it's wrong. So I can't just feel like what I feel in my gut and assume that that's the correct thing. I actually have to defer to the sources, the research.
They're still legally distinct. You can't move me off that hill. It's a legally distinct filing.
I don't know what else to tell you. Literally, even if it's legally filed under Comirnaty, and it's also understood that Comirnaty and Pfizer are the same fucking thing, then it shouldn't matter what it's even filed under. What name? Of course, also it's going to be legally filed under the actual brand name. Yes. None of this is weird. None of this is surprising or strange. This literally just sounds like business as usual.
Is. No.
Yeah, this sounds like business as usual to me.
Well, for Pfizer, sure. I mean, again, one of the most criminal corporations in U.S. history.
You do realize that even if that were true, that would be irrelevant to whether or not the vaccine was effective, right?
You don't believe that's true?
No,
you don't believe they're criminal?
No. I'm saying even if you are correct, then it's irrelevant to whether or not the vaccine is safe or effective.
Well, they developed the vaccine.
I know. And even if that company were completely corrupt, it would not change the international research we have, which shows the vaccine to be safe and in most circumstances effective.
It's not that safe. We've already talked about that. I mean, I know you don't believe in VAERS. I mean, if again,
no,
what's
I
the
believe
reporting
in VAERS.
system?
I just don't think that it's a very good method of determining of whether or not it's a safe vaccine. Again,
so why won't you acknowledge the injuries? Why won't you acknowledge any of the injuries?
I've already acknowledged.
You're calling all these people liars.
No, I'm not. Not once. I never called any of these people liars. In fact, I deliberately said that that there are probably plenty of people who do think that they're having negative effects from the thing.
See what you said. They think you want to gaslight these vaccine injured people.
No, it's that I actually want to make sure that it's correct and not just take their word for it. Especially considering they've not ever demonstrated a causal link. So yeah, that's kind of concerning.
Many of them, when they go to the doctor, they get told, that their myocarditis is an anxiety attack.
I don't. Okay, now I'm gonna pull your card. I don't believe you. Because I have the information here that is showing that the vaccine is generally safe and effective. We know that Comirnaty and Pfizer are the same thing, and for some reason you are set on this. You are like clinging to this idea that somehow it must be a different vaccine because they have a different name. Like I don't know what you're even getting at.
I'm clinging to the facts.
No, you're not. You're clinging to nothing. You have no facts. If you did, you'd be able to give them to me.
Comirnaty's the only. Again, go see if you can find a Comirnaty vaccine. I challenge you in the U.S.
Wait, I already looked that up, and it explained why. Because there were so many vials that were already made with Pfizer, it's possible that some of them are still labeled Pfizer and not Comirnaty.
It's one explanation. I don't believe that explanation.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to...
I mean, I'll concede. If that's what you want me to say, that I don't believe that explanation, then sure, I don't believe that explanation, because I understand why things are filed legally like that. I mean, there's a reason. I mean, all this stuff, has reasons behind it.
Okay. I've heard that the FDA said Pfizer's, Comirnaty, and biotech formulas are distinctly different in their vaccine approval letter. Is that true? No, in terms of what is contained inside the vial of each, they are identical. Pfizer and biotech simply formally branded or named their vaccine Comirnaty. Biotech is the German...
So you acknowledge that there, at least. It's that they're different, but they're saying they're the same thing.
No, it's that if they are different in the approval letter, then it doesn't matter. If there's a different name on the approval letter, what matters is what that name is. And if the name is Comirnaty, which we know is equal to Pfizer, then Pfizer vaccine is FDA approved.
We don't know that. We don't
The
know that they're
licensed
equal.
vaccine
You're asking me to just assume that something's
I'm
equal.
not asking you to assume. I'm
That
asking
hasn't
you
been
to please
approved.
just use your brain and trust what this is saying. This is from the FDA. The licensed vaccine has the same formulation as the EUA authorized vaccine, and the products can be used interchangeably to provide the vaccination series without presenting any safety or effectiveness concerns. The products are legally distinct with certain differences that do not impact safety or effectiveness.
There it is. Legally distinct. That's the only argument I'm making.
Oh my
is that
God.
they're legally
so
distinct.
if they're legally distinct, but there's no difference in the actual effectiveness or safety, then why does it matter that they're legally distinct?
Because there's a reason that things are legally distinct.
Yeah, and what is
They're
the
asking, and
and
their
what is the
claim is
reason?
that their claim is that these two things are the same thing, but only one of them is approved. That's their claim.
Oh my God.
I don't believe it.
I literally cannot get. It's like I'm talking to a fucking pigeon.
I don't believe. I
You're
told
not-
you
you're
I
just
don't
not
believe
getting-
them.
I know, but like, if that is your only argument, then you
You're-
are lost.
you
You're
are
irrational
wrong.
right now.
You are wrong that Comirnaty is available in the U.S. You're
It doesn't
wrong.
matter.
That's my
Pfizer
only
is available,
point.
and they are the same
You're-
thing.
It doesn't matter because you say it doesn't matter.
No,
means it
because
doesn't matter?
Comirnaty and Pfizer are the
That
same
was my
thing,
only
so it doesn't
point.
matter.
That was my only point. Comirnaty is not available in the U.S.
It doesn't
It's
matter.
not FDA
Pfizer's
approved.
available, and they're the same thing. They're just not available
they're
under the
not.
same name, possibly.
There you go. Yep, it's not
Why
the
are you
same thing.
acting like you just demonstrated your point when you didn't?
Because you're simply saying they're the same thing when they're legally not the same thing. You've admitted that.
Oh my God. Okay. So do you recognize the difference that if something has a brand name, that it might need to be filed differently under the brand name, the actual marketed name, but it doesn't change the fact that the actual substance of that thing could still be the same? This is why you have, like, this is like saying, Coke and Coca-Cola are different because they're filed under a different name. You're okay drinking Coke, but did you know that under the paperwork, they're filed under Coca-Cola? Yes, different names for the same fucking formula.
Coke's a lot different than an experimental
It's
medical
not
procedure.
experimental. You need to stop saying that.
How many mRNA vaccines have been used before prior to COVID?
Does that make it experimental?
What? So there has been some use?
Wait, first of all, mRNA technology has been being used for a long time.
Oh, yeah. We have animal trials where they had to stop the animal trials.
No,
because
we
the
also
animals
have
kept
human
dying.
trials since 2011 where they've used mRNA technology for cancer treatments.
And now we're seeing the fallout from
We're not
this
seeing any
mRNA
fallout. We're not seeing
experiment across
It's
the
not
world.
an experiment, and we're not seeing a fallout.
We've got
the
excess
definition
death
of-
rates in Germany off the charts for late 2021. Excess deaths are exploding.
You
Even in the
realize
US.
again that it's not experimental if it has therefore gone through all of the necessary processes in order to be approved, whether that be under the EUA or fully FDA approved.
That makes it safe?
Wait, it makes it not experimental.
It's still an experimental. It's a trial right now. The trials aren't even over till 2025.
Dude, no.
Like, what are
this
the
isn't how
long-term trials on this
medications work.
vaccine?
Holy shit, there are medications that we take every fucking day, like Tylenol, that are still being tested for in certain trials because that's what they do. They keep an eye on it.
Tylenol's been around for decades. This hasn't.
Okay, I'm giving you an
Big
example.
difference
I don't know
there.
if Tylenol specifically, but I know for a fact that other medications are being watched and there's eyes kept on it even after it's been approved and released to the public. If anything, we should be happy. This means that they're doing their due diligence.
By hiding the trial data, and you're telling me that everything's.
How are they hiding the trial
hunky-dory?
data? What are they hiding from the trial
Hunter,
data?
a judge had to force Pfizer to release 1,200 pages of their report.
Do you realize the reason that they didn't even want to release that was because they didn't have enough staffers working? They had hundreds of
sure.
thousands of pieces of information on different papers.
Oh, man.
It would have taken a massive amount of effort in order to go through that and to release it to the degree that people were demanding.
Come on, man.
No, you come on, man. They had that office, the department that handles like the filing and the releasing of that paperwork, is only run by like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, and those reports showed that people who died and were injured didn't even complete the trial. Why did hundreds refuse to continue the phase 1 clinical trial?
First of all, hundreds are going to deny any
And why did they
trial.
want to
Because
and you
people
think they
start
just
trials, then they drop out. This is a common thing that happens with trials. This is literally something that's taken into account with virtually any study that is ever put together.
Why were they hiding this data?
They weren't hiding it.
a judge had to force them to release it?
Because they weren't equipped to do so at the speed that people were demanding. This already has an explanation.
No, they asked for 75 years, Hunter, to hire some staff to get it out. Are you serious? Are you serious? That's your argument?
Okay, let's go. Let's look it up. Why a judge ordered FDA to release COVID-19 vaccine data? Okay. So they sued in order to force them to do it.
I mean, are you just going to tell me the reason that Pfizer gave again that they couldn't release it?
Wait, no.
I mean,
this wasn't even on.
The
Pfizer
better question might be,
this.
why do you trust Pfizer so much?
I don't.
You do. You have massive
because I don't
religious
need to.
level
I've already
faith.
Explained why I don't need to.
You have religious level faith in Pfizer and the FDA, which is amazing to me given the FDA track record.
Have you not listened to a word I've said where I've explained that non-U.S. institutions have also found the vaccine to be safe and effective? So are they just lying too? Is Pfizer paying them off?
Not every. I mean, look at Japan. They just ended boosters over there.
I don't need
it's not entirely true.
I don't have religious faith in the FDA or in Pfizer.
You know that Japan ended boosters.
I don't have religious faith in Pfizer or the FDA. What I have is general trust in literature and research, which has been collected over and over and over again. And it's based on that I'm then able to deduce that the vaccine seems to be safe and effective.
You know, 9 out of the 10 last FDA commissioners went to work for Big Pharma, right?
Wait. Yeah, of course. So what? They obviously have experience with medications. Yes.
Got it. And you know, half of all drug trials aren't made publicly available.
You're just like jumping to random irrelevant things right now.
No, I'm just testing your faith in FDA and Pfizer.
Well, you have like a almost religious aversion to all of this. You think if it's just simply printed out by the FDA that it therefore must be false. You're not looking at these things. You're not looking at this critically like I am. I'm able to look at this and say, hey, here's where Fauci got something wrong. Here's where Pfizer was incorrect. Here's where the FDA was wrong. But also, here's where the FDA was right. You're just, well, Pfizer and the FDA says it, therefore it's bad.
That's not what I'm saying. I mean, the top two people at FDA resigned over the Biden administration pushing them to approve boosters. I mean, that's very alarming, very disturbing.
I'm pretty sure that there was a different explanation for that.
Nope.
So FDA said the agency branch responsible for handling the request has only 10 employees and is currently processing 400 other requests. Okay, they issued a court order requiring FDA to significantly speed up the release. Okay. So before the documents can be released, the agency must redact confidential business and trade secret information from Pfizer and biotech, as well as private patient information from clinical trials. So that's part of the reason why they're not just able to like dump this.
Right. I mean, I'm sure they have reasons that they're saying that they can't release it. I mean, we don't have time for them to hire people, when we're administering this vaccine like we are. Especially when they're trying to give it to kids. I'm not sure what you think about that.
So let it be known that we have an explanation for the Comirnaty and Pfizer thing. We have an explanation as to why there are still outbreaks even when people get vaccinated but maybe aren't boosted. And we now have evidence that shows, we have an explanation as to why the FDA wanted to wait as long as it did to process the information. It wasn't saying, oh, well, we have to do 75 years so nobody can know the truth. They were saying, based on the amount of fucking employees we have and how long this is going to take, it's going to be like 55 years before we can get all this done.
They're managing to get it done now, aren't they?
Yeah, because they have a court order, and they probably had to fire.
Absolutely.
Or they probably had to hire a fuck ton more people.
It's weird to hear you like defending that type of explanation from a corporation like Pfizer with their track record. It's just
it's not. You're not even getting your conspiracy straight. This isn't Pfizer. This is the FDA.
Not a conspiracy. I thought you were talking about the Pfizer documents.
I thought you were talking about the judge forcing the FDA to release certain documents.
Well, it was Pfizer. I was referring to Pfizer.
They're Pfizer documents, but it's being handled by the FDA. Like, It takes a really long time to redact shit. You have to go through every single page. I mean, that's not exactly an easy task.
I mean, it's 2022. It doesn't take 75 years to do that.
Okay, well, I mean, you can.
Come on.
Clearly,
I mean, come on. You sound like a PR rep for Pfizer.
No, I don't.
The FDA.
I've literally said that you don't even have to trust Pfizer at all. Okay, well, I don't think we're going to get any further with this.
I mean, again, the two senior officials at the FDA stepped down. That doesn't concern you? That doesn't disturb you?
Let's look up the next claim. What was it? FDA.
Two senior officials at the FDA stepped down from the vaccine review team when they were trying to approve boosters and they cited that there was pressure. I mean, these are whistleblowers. They cited that there was pressure from the administration to get boosters out.
Okay.
And you know that.
Wait, so fucking what? They're doing their job. Of course, the administration is trying to get the pressure on to get the boosters or the vaccines out as soon as possible. Trump
when they haven't been fully approved by the FDA.
Hold on. First of all, yes, they have, and you cannot keep going back to an already disproven lie. Second of all, Donald Trump also put pressure on certain pharmaceutical companies in order to implement Project Warp Speed, which is something that I really liked what Trump did. Yes, government administrations put pressure on the FDA or on other approval processes because it's going to benefit either the American public or their administration or both. This is expected. What would be a problem is if the administration had a benefit. No, what would be a problem is if the administration actually had control over the FDA. The fact that the government or the government administration needs to put pressure on these institutions demonstrates they do not have control over them.
But they still got it approved after the resignations, despite that.
So what?
So what? That's dangerous. I mean, we had people whistleblowing about the pressure to put these out.
This isn't
without the proper process.
This isn't whistleblowing. This is them talking about what's going on.
They resigned, and then they said what happened. The FDA voted against his vaccine booster plan.
Okay, the Biden administration's decision over when to administer coronavirus vaccine boosters are triggering turmoil within the FDA, frustrating regulators and sparking fear that political pressures will once again override the agency's expertise. FDA officials are scrambling to collect and analyze data that clearly demonstrate the boosters' benefits before the administration's September 20th deadline for rolling them out to most adults. Many outside experts and some within the agency see uncomfortable similarities between the Biden team's top-down booster plan and former President Donald Trump's attempt to goad FDA into accelerating its initial authorization process for COVID-19 vaccines. So, I mean, would you condemn Trump if he did the same thing?
Yeah, I'm very critical of Trump for that. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not sure. You know, he's obviously in Big Pharma's pocket too. So I would disagree that was something good that Trump did.
Okay, so it says, we understand the importance of additional vaccine doses for control of this pandemic and will move as rapidly as possible to evaluate all submissions. Responding to this pandemic requires an all-of-government approach, said FDA. FDA has and will continue to make regulatory decisions, and the CDC will continue to make clinical recommendations. So, I don't know what this has to do with whether or not the vaccine is safe or is effective.
They resigned over this booster shot.
Yeah, but they didn't resign because they were like, it's bad, it's going to kill everybody. And they were like, shut the fuck up. And then they resigned. It was that they didn't like the administration's handling of it, so they resigned.
Sure, yeah.
Do you know how many people resigned under Donald Trump? Like, yeah, sometimes this happens. This is part and parcel for the process.
Sure, yeah, and it shows that this is a convoluted process, that there's corruption going on, that the administration's pushing, again, medical procedures out that haven't been fully vetted and tested and approved through the FDA. And they did the same thing with children, even though children have next to zero risk from COVID, which is completely more absurd.
Yeah, because, they have a risk of getting it and spreading it to people who could otherwise be at risk.
Yeah, but why would we put their health in jeopardy with these shots? I mean, again, we don't have kids dying from COVID. They have a greater chance of being struck by lightning than dying from COVID.
You have a greater chance of getting struck by lightning than you do getting killed by the vaccine.
Maybe. We don't know that because we don't know the numbers right now. I mean, looking at the excess deaths, again, across Germany that we do have numbers we have insurance companies whistleblowing in the U.S. on how much they're paying out for these excess deaths that are non-COVID from these mysterious illnesses that people are dropping dead left and right.
Whenever you say
Look at these
mysterious, then
comedians.
instantly I know that you're just seeing something you don't understand and then sticking the conspiracy label on it. But
No, we have 30-year-olds having blood clots and heart attacks like we've never seen before.
okay.
ERs are overrun.
No. Stop, please. I'm gonna get a blood clot if we keep this combo going. It just seems
Why
that
do you want to shut that down?
because at the end of the day, it's the same circle every time. No matter how much evidence I provide you that either the vaccine is safe or that Comirnaty and Pfizer are the same thing, or as to why some of the labels might be different, or why FDA needed to take so long to release the paperwork, none of it's going to be good enough for you.
Well, you're spinning everything. I mean, you're acting like these
spinning
aren't
everything. You're
legitimate.
saying, look at all these
acting like these
mysterious deaths, trying to fill the blanks
They
in
are.
with, it must be a creepy vaccine. Ooh, we don't fucking know shit like that.
What else has happened in the last 2 years to cause all these young people to suddenly start COVID? People that don't have COVID, that
Maybe
drop
it was
dead
from the
on the
lockdowns.
soccer fields and the football fields.
Maybe it was
and
from
hospitals.
the lockdowns. For 2 years, they were forced inside their home.
Hey, could have been. We could agree on that.
No, but this is what I mean: is
Some
you could
common ground on that.
just gesture at anything. There's no evidence that links it to things, to anything.
I don't think lockdowns cause myocarditis and
All right. Well,
heart attacks. But
I appreciate you coming on here. I'm sorry we didn't really get to the trans topic, but you know what? If you ever are, see that I'm live again and you want to talk again, then just let me know. All right.
sure, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
Enjoyed it.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay.